Greetings to you all. Welcome back to another episode of Walls of Happiness Media. My name is Victoria Chakwa Mbabali, and I'm so excited to have somebody special with us today. And I'd like for her to introduce herself and tell us who her parents are.
Hi, my name is Nicole Mukooba. My parents, Stella Mukooba and Matthias Mukooba.
Wow. So let's go back to your name. So you're Nicole.
Atiamisa Mukooba.
Atiamisa Mukooba. What does Atiamisa mean?
So Atiamisa means it's kind of like a whole phrase. When you find success, you're not supposed to look back and score on other people who are suffering.
Oh, wow. That is so powerful.
Yes.
Isn't that so beautiful?
Yes, I really like
I just learned something just now. And you just told all our viewers what, just through your name. I always like to ask everyone what their name means. And just in your name, there is so much power. So Nicole, we are excited to have you here today. And you are graduating class of 2025. Hip hip hooray! Yay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell us what school you went to and what your major was?
Yeah, so I went to University of Colorado, Denver, and I majored in psychology.
Oh, wow, psychology.
Yes.
So you're going to be one of those people who are looking at us saying, she's crazy. Oh, he's about to get crazy. So
No, not that kind of psychology, no. I majored in psychology, but pre-medical school.
Pre-medical school.
Medical school,
So
yes.
eventually, what would you like to be? You're doing?
I really like infectious diseases or neurology. I thought about doing psychiatry for a while,
I was
but
going to say,
I
go
realized
there.
it's not quite, wouldn't be a good fit for me, so.
No.
Yeah.
Well, we are always in need of neurologists. I can tell you the wait lists in Denver are endless.
Yes.
So we will be happy to have you when you get there. But congratulations again.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell us what are all these different cords you have around your neck and what they represent?
Yes. So this first cord is for my involvement with the African Student Union on campus. This one is because I worked as a learning assistant for a year. I taught a Physics 2 class. This one is a philanthropy cord. Upon graduating, I decided to donate a small amount of money to the food pantry that we have on campus.
Oh, wow.
And then these two combined are honor cords for people who graduated with a GPA between, I think, a 3.7 and a 3.85.
Wow. Well, congratulations on receiving those.
Thank you.
And maybe this is a time to ask you, so what was your weighted and unweighted GPA?
So I don't actually know what my weighted GPA was, but my unweighted GPA was, I think, a 3.75 to 3.76.
That is amazing. Well,
Thank
congratulations.
you. Thank you so much.
We are so proud of you. So tell me, you've been going to DU, right?
University of Colorado, Denver.
University of Colorado, Denver, sorry. Those two most times end up confusing me. And have you been doing any sports, or have you just been going through school and just doing school? Period,
Mostly just school, period.
Yeah.
I have never been super into sports, but I have been involved, as I mentioned, with our African Student Union.
Yes.
Done a bit of volunteering on campus. I was part of a pre-health program, so did a bit of work there. Participating in interviews, helping incoming freshmen who are transitioning from high school to college, who are also pre-med. So that's been majority of my involvement. Also I've worked as a teaching assistant, a learning assistant. So very academics focused though.
Beauty and brains.
Thank you.
So tell me, it seems like you've had a very diverse, college. So how has that been, for you to be in college and at least have, be able to assimilate? Has it made it easier for you?
So actually, it definitely has. And I think one of the things that I wanted about CU Denver is there's such a large diversity on campus, a wide variety of people you can meet. I almost felt I didn't have to assimilate.
Yeah.
I could bring more of myself, more of the aspects of
see.
being Ugandan that I really love to campus, and I felt very comfortable because there was such a wide variety of people. There wasn't like one type of way to be a college student.
I get you 100%. So you sort of went in and just felt like, oh, okay, these are my people, and yeah, I think that helps a whole lot.
It does.
Yes. Okay, we'll switch gears just a little bit. So you've been in college, of course. So why can you share what the most significant lesson you've learned about yourself during your school journey?
I think failure, the importance of failing. I started off college thinking I was gonna graduate with a valedictorian, do all these clubs, all these sports. That is not what happened. I got beat down so many times.
Oh my.
But I think, and every time it got worse, which again, no one really warns you about, but I think through all those failures, I learned to push my limits, to rely even more on the people around me, to ask for help. I think that was the biggest one is, you have to let go of your ego, you have to let go of your pride, you have to ask for help, you have to admit it's hard. Trying to finish your major, be a good student, be a good human. Be a good human, it's difficult.
Yes.
And you will fail. And you have to be okay with the fact that you're going to fail. So I think that was the biggest thing.
I think, to be honest, I think that's a very great way of looking at life, because I think we always are trying to, maybe whatever we're doing, we want to excel and win. But it's important that even in failure, for you to know, okay, I've fallen, I'm going to pick myself up and get up, and I'm going to be better. And then you learn from those bumps in the road and you make it better. Yeah. I think that's the most brilliant way someone has really put it out, and I know that our viewers that are out there are learning, and hearing you say that gives so much strength. So thank you so much for that. Maybe another one, how do you think your experiences in school have shaped your perspective on the world?
I think they've broadened my perspectives on the world. I think kind of like how I was mentioning earlier, like UC Denver is a very diverse campus. You meet so many different people, different backgrounds, different nationalities, languages, but also just like the types of teachers I've had are so different. I think it's made me more flexible as well. Yeah.
Yes. And how do you think your culture has influenced who you've become as a person? And I know, of course, we all come from Uganda, and we all are proud of the tribes we're from. So tell us more about that, and how that has influenced you, and home, and your parents, and the language that you speak.
So something my dad always taught us this phrase, Ubuntu, and it means roughly translates to the idea that I am because you are. It's about community, and not only relying on the people around you, but being there for them as much as they are there for you, and always making sure that you don't do things alone. Yes. So in college, that meant that I made sure to find a community of people who I felt could support me, who I could also support. And I think that made a huge difference in my time in college. I can confidently say I'm graduating and I don't regret anything. Any of the friendships I've had, even the friendships I've lost, I know that I approached them with all of my heart, with all of my effort, and they have done the same for me. Yes. So that has made, I think, even beyond just the classes, the technical skills I've learned, the ability to communicate with other people well, to support other people well, to find that balance. And as I'm trying to achieve all these things academically, balancing, maintaining my community, my support system, I think that's been a big thing.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And I think what I hear you say is, even if, some, friendships may not have lasted, you don't wish them bad. You just still move on. You may not gel. I wish you well, but we just didn't gel,
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. So what advice would you give to yourself now that you have graduated, and why?
To someone in my same position, or
to yourself? So if you were giving yourself, you're giving yourself advice, right? So what advice would you give to yourself now that you have graduated, and why?
So to my past self?
Yes.
Okay. I think to trust the process and to trust the people around you. I think, as I've mentioned probably so many times now, college was really hard.
Yes.
And there were many times when I know I probably annoyed my parents when I was like, I don't want to do medicine anymore. I'm tired. I don't know why I'm doing this. Who puts themselves through this much pain? But I think, something that helped me a lot is the reason I chose to do medicine, besides obviously like the people I've met and the work I want to do, is I feel very strongly that it's something God has called me to do. So I think trusting in God's plan in my life and trusting that I wouldn't be here doing this if it wasn't for a reason, I think that's the biggest advice. Like if you know in your heart deep down that this is what you want to do, whatever it may be,
yes,
regardless, you're going to have, whatever it is, you're going to have people who are like, oh, it's too hard.
Yes.
Oh, it takes too much time. Oh, are you sure? There's and they don't even mean to scare you. They might be saying this out of concern.
Very true.
But I think it's important to remember why you in particular are doing this major, are choosing this career path.
Yes.
And let that be your guide, and to trust God and to trust the people around you, your closest inner circle.
That's true. Now that you say that, I'm going to ask you something off the sort of the charts, but so you've gone, doing, pre-med and all of that. Of course, you had to go through one of the classes, cadavers. How did that go?
They were hard, but I think also for me, the way I approach learning is I try to make it interesting for myself.
Yes.
I find that even if I have to kind of lie to myself a little bit about what's really going on, if I find something that I find interesting, if I can latch onto that, then that propels me forward. And also to not extend more meaning to a class than it has to be.
True.
That kind of goes back into managing how people present things. Every single person is going to be like, oh, organic chemistry, you're going to fail.
Yes.
Anatomy, you're going to fail. Whatever class you're going to fail. So I think having the ability to hear those things, but not to over-internalize them, to just think of it as, it's just a class.
Yeah.
You're going to have to put in more work, but it's just a class at the end of the day.
That's very true. I think that's very beautiful. Now, when we talk more into that, how do you envision using your education and skills to create positive change in your community or the world?
So one of the classes I took was essentially a scientific communication class. It was called Writing in the Sciences.
Writing in the Sciences.
Yes.
Okay.
And for part of that class, I went to a scientific communication conference, and something we talked about there was the importance of being able to I think when you do academics a lot, you can kind of assume that everyone knows it, and you come off a bit arrogant when you try to talk to people who aren't in your same field.
Yes.
So something they talked a lot about in that class and also in the conference is the importance of meeting people where they are and being able to communicate the knowledge that you have in a way that's respectful of them, that doesn't kind of perpetuate ideas of like the ego or the arrogance that people in that field have. So that's something that I hope to extend to people in my community, is to be able to translate the knowledge that I have in a way that's open, that is welcoming, that encourages conversations, as opposed to making people feel lesser than.
Yes. I think when I hear you say that, it takes me to thinking about health equity, like how so many people are going through stuff and they're not getting the help they need because, they find that some of the people that provide the services or the care they need are very arrogant. So having people like yourself in there will be such a good thing because you're culturally competent and you can help people even in our own community be able to get that health equity that they so deserve, and need. Oh, I'm so proud of you, Nicole.
Thank you.
So tell us one more thing. Let's see. What's one thing you're taking with you from college that you'll always treasure? I feel like as though you touched on this a little bit.
Yes. Definitely my community. I think in the time that I have now, I've learned to rely more on people. So I think that's definitely something I'm going to take. I think also the combination of doing psychology while being pre-medical has been really interesting, getting to see how how our brains impact our physical health and vice versa. So I think that's definitely something that approach to healthcare is something that I hope to carry with me as I go forward.
No, I am just loving this. And one other one, how have your relationships with teachers, mentors, or peers impacted your educational journey?
Yes, they've been so important. please talk to your professors if you can. Please talk to your mentors, your friends. I think being able to, I think that kind of goes back to what I've said about failure. Being able to admit that you maybe don't know what's going on and being able to ask for help. I think that's something that has really helped me. I think it's also allowed professors to kind of see that, okay, like they kind of, you build a bit more of a relationship with them. Which then it kind of helps you as a student because then they're also there to support you if you're having a hard time as well too. Yeah,
I think I have to say this, Nicole, when I look at you, I see a beautiful young lady, intelligent, right? And I've seen your friends, and you are such a great person.
Thank you so
Hearing
much.
your friends saying all these things about you just really blessed my heart, you know?
Thank you.
I just want you to continue being you and just be this wonderful person that you are and continue lighting, you know, holding that light for all to see and shine it so bright. As you help people out there, I feel like there is so much that you're going to do and you're going to impact this world because you're a force to be reckoned with.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, and I can't leave this interview without asking you, when you graduated, who do you think was the most proud between dad and mom? And maybe you can also tell us why you decided to go into medicine. Who inspired you to do that?
Yes. Okay. I think my dad was because interestingly enough, he didn't want me to be a doctor. I know, I feel like it's very funny, very not very immigrant of him to not want a doctor.
I agree, because there's always the fight, right?
Right, yeah. But I think, and again, like I've had all those doubts, those concerns. So I think he was the most excited. He saw all the times when I was crying at home, or, very stressed out, unable to sleep. He would always in my room, my desk faces the door. So he would always kind of enter. He comes back home from work late and he's like, "Are you still studying? Are you still?" So and I think he saw a lot of the behind the scenes. So I think he was definitely, I think, a bit more excited. And then as for who inspired me, partially my parents. They're both nurses, so being able to, something we'd always do is like they'd tell me about the patients they've seen, and then we talk about that. So that was really important. But really the main person, actually, interestingly, was my primary care doctor. We had always had various doctors, but then my first year of high school, we changed healthcare providers, so I changed doctors. And for the longest time, I was like, who needs a doctor? Like, I would go in the office and they're like,
I'm
okay.
healthy.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh, this is what you have to do. You know, they kind of just give you a laundry list and then you move on. But we changed providers, and something my other doctors had never been able to do is really understand my culture, understand my family, the realities, the limitations of my living situation and everything. And she was able to do that. She had a lot of empathy for our culture, for our background, for the relationship I had with my parents. Through conversations with her, actually allowed me to have more conversations with my parents about health, about my own plans for health. She helped me learn how to advocate for myself, to ask better questions. So, those things, like, it has been 8 years now, and I still use those skills on a regular basis. So she revolutionized how I consider healthcare, and that's something that I want to be able to do moving forward. So
that is so amazing. You need to tell us her name.
Her name is Dr. Kelsey Watt.
Oh, wow.
She's phenomenal.
Yes, Dr. Kelsey Watt, wherever you are, thank you so much for this great inspiration for this young lady to pursue, medicine. Thank you so much. It just goes to show that everywhere you go, you can empower, uplift even in the smallest discipline you're in. So it just goes to show that, we, as you go out there too, you're going to empower, uplift, and with your, patients that you're going to see, you're going to carry it forward because you too have been helped and you're here because of, those that, helped you. Well, it's been so lovely having you here, Nicole. I wish we could stay longer, but I don't want to wear you out. So thank you so much for honoring our invite to Wells of Happiness Media. We'd like to thank you so much and congratulate you once again to the class of 2025. Yeah. Go, Nicole.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And we'll see you on the next one at Wells of Happiness Media. Please go ahead, subscribe, like, comment, hit the notification bell, and share. We'll see you on the next one. And what do we say, Nicole? Bye-bye.